there, guys. I am going to talk to you today about some vintage fashions that I believe will be very heavily seen in our fall and winter wardrobes, especially for the holiday party season. And this is something that you can easily spot across the store, whether you're out shopping, sourcing, you're at a real vintage shop. These things jump out at you. You can't miss them. I mean, it's like, yeah, this is the wrong business for you if you can't spot something like this because it's metallic. Today I want to talk to you about lamés, brocades, metal fabrics, and Lurex. And those four things are what you see behind me here. Like, these are some examples that I want to show to you guys that actually I just did some recent solds, and that's why I need to show you before I ship them off to their new home because, well, it's vintage, it's one of a kind, and this is the only example that I've got of it right now. So let's just jump right into it. People have been wearing gold and silver and fine precious metals for years as adornment. You know, a couple hundred years ago, they were hammering it out and weaving it into things like crowns and clothing pieces, shawls, armor, all kinds of different stuff. And so over the years, you know, precious metal is pretty expensive. I'm not sure how much it's going for right now, but like 1 ounce of gold, I'm guessing right now, if we looked it up, is probably between $1,200 and $1,400, and that's an ounce. How much value it would have just from the precious metal content. That doesn't include any of the labor or the designer name attached to it. So that increases things. So yeah, people have been wearing gold for centuries. I mean, and precious stones. And so in our modern times, not everybody can afford that. Like, I can't afford a real, 18 karat gold strapless dress. But I can wear something that simulates something like that, that dazzles like it, that sparkles like it. And that's how we're getting here to all of this awesome stuff behind me. So let's just jump right in to what I'm going to talk to you about. So first of all, let's talk about lamé. Now, lamé is one of those funny things. It always makes me kind of giggle because it's spelt like lame. So, but it has a little fancy mark after it that makes the E a little bit longer. And so when you say it, you don't say this is a lame sweater. You say this is a lamé knit sweater. So this is what it looks like up close. It's this one happens to be gold. Usually most lamé is either gold or silver colored. So this is a knit sweater, definitely 80s, and it has gold lamé thread all throughout it. So that's what gives it its sparkle, and it's pretty cute. So here's another example of a knit lamé, a long E lamé. Okay, so how they make lamé is this. They encase a piece of thread and wind the. So one more thing that lamé makes that y'all know about, or you've probably heard about it, they use heavy lamé in things like spacesuits for insulation. NASA, I've seen a NASA suit up close. Actually, I had one in my store once for their birthday, and I'll post a picture of it. It was pretty far out, literally. And The spacesuit was so heavy. It must have weighed, I'm not sure with the face, that part too, that was actually pretty light. It must have weighed about at least 10 pounds would be my guess. It was heavy, insulated, shiny silver fabric, you know, for that spacey look. Okay, so the spacey look. And oh, you know what else they use it in? I'm not sure if you guys have ever seen what chefs and professional kitchens use to cut, but sometimes they put on these gloves to cut something like a sandwich, even if you go get a sandwich somewhere. And that is made out of a heavy lamé metal fabric. So different types of metals in different applications do different things. We like it for the fashion aspect, for like the sparkly, like I'm ready to party look, or I'm ready to spacewalk, or I'm ready to cut your bagel. Okay. Now this dress, I'm going to be showing you for another example, actually has a lamé thread on it. Can you see it? Can you see that the yarn is in the middle and then the silver lamé is woven around it? Okay, that's lamé. Okay. I got a lot of jokes today. Do you guys want to hear my jokes? Because no one's going to laugh but me. Hey, you guys saw this skirt the other day, but when I decided I was going to talk about metallic items that are going to be really hot this fall, because it happens every year, I'm going to say a statement right now, and you guys might not want to hear it, but I'm going to say it anyway. I had my own store for a very long time, and honestly, each season, the same trends that are just a little bit modified from the year before and the years past, or they take more influence, heavy influence from decades past, now currently, because, you know, what else are they going to do besides repurpose a style? It's all going to be the same. Like, it's all going to be the same. So that's why we're talking about this, so you can look for it. This is that vintage Yves Saint Laurent skirt, but if you look at it up close, in the fabric is woven this gold like circle, and this is gold lamé thread that's woven in a circle in this silk fabric. So that's kind of a different type of lamé than the other lamé. It's a lot finer and lighter. Now we're going to go back to the 90s a little bit. Here's this cute dress. I just sold it. I have to ship it today. So this is what we would call a 90s illusion dress. The illusion is it purple? Is it black? Well, illusion dresses also have to have two elements in it to actually make it an illusion dress. Generally. Now there are instances of types of fabrics that aren't illusion with two layers, and we're going to get to those too. But it's a pretty good umbrella term because people understand it. So an illusion dress is going to have two layers to it. It's going to have the overlay, which will be sheer with your color, and then the underlayment, which will be a solid black. So that gives the illusion of, you know, color shifting. This is another piece that I recently showed in my last YouTube video, and I just thought this was a really good example because this is an older example. This is like from the late 40s or early 50s, and this fabric, so when I'm over this way, it really looks red. But then when we're this way, it looks a lot different. It actually looks a lot darker. So it has that kind of shifting appearance to it, which makes it interesting and desirable and really great for like a nighttime or evening event. In case you don't feel like wearing all black. So next is something that I really like to wear. Probably I haven't worn any in a while, but I do have some in my collection for sure. And it's this magical stuff. It's called Lurex. It was created in the 50s, and it's a European style. And what it is essentially is it's a piece of metal encased in plastic. And that's how they actually make the Lurex threads. And then they make it into garments. And the cool thing about Lurex is I feel like as they got farther advanced into manufacturing it, like the older pieces are like this dress that are like a medium knit weight. It's actually, yeah, it's medium to heavy, but look at that shimmer on it. It is this amazing amount. Oh, there's a good angle. It's an amazing amount of color and shimmer and va-va-voom. And this is obviously a 60s dress. And this is something that I just sold. So that's why I'm making this video real quick here. So the Lurex, if you look at the fabric up close, it's not all just black and silver. It's woven in between. And that's what makes it Lurex. So I have another example of a 60s Lurex. Now this could be like a little bit, I don't know, I think this is not as old as that other one, because this is when they started making Lurex a lighter fabric, because it's hot. I don't know if y'all have ever worn any polyester, but it'll make you sweat. And it's heavy. And then if you're at a party and like you're honestly wearing a Lurex dress or jumpsuit, they made a lot of really fabulous jumpsuits. You don't want to be hot. Your makeup's going to start running. Your hair is going to fall flat. It could be all bad. So they started making a thinner version of it, and that would be this. So you can kind of see, you can see my hand through here, how sheer it is. And this is a long maxi dress from the 60s. It's definitely homemade. It's got this cool piece of trim around it, but I just want to show you how sheer it is. Like, you guys can see. So this is another really great example of Lurex. Now, I've never actually seen this textured Lurex fabric before in my life. And I can't be 100% positive that this is a Lurex fabric because it feels so different than that other fabric. But I'm pretty sure. Like, this dress is from the 50s. It's got a metal zipper up the back. And it's Lurex. It's that fabric. It's got the dark, the highs and the lows. It's also fully lined. Yeah, it's lined. And, but this has texture. It's soft. It almost doesn't even feel like metal, but it's definitely a Lurex type of fabric. And you can see where parts of it have kind of gotten worn a little bit, and a little bit of the color has kind of like come off the metal. And so the silver is starting to shine through versus the dark blue. So this is another really good example for you guys to kind of see, like, wow, yeah, there's different, there's different versions of Lurex. They also used that type of metal a lot in vintage pieces. This happens to be a vintage costume. And this has that awesome lamé thread that I showed you, that you can see that the lamé is actually wrapped around a piece of thread on the inside. And But this part here, when the metallic threads are woven through something to make a style, definitely a I mean, if these are not statement shoulders, I don't know what is. This is called a brocade. So brocades, I mean, holiday season, it's like velvet. Are you guys waiting for velvet to make its big comeback? Because I think it'll probably, let's see, we're in the middle of September. It will be making its debut in about a month and a half. So I'd say like the end of October, we're going to start hearing the word velvet a lot in fashion. It's one of those things, it just goes around. It's the same stuff every year. So I wanted to include this cute little bolero jacket. This is like a little plus-sized 1950s jacket. And this is what I would call illusion fabric also. So it has almost a metallic fabric, but it's woven with this metallic blue floral print. So it makes it a jacquard weave, which is a three-dimensional weave, and it gives the illusion of an illusion. And they did this a lot in menswear. Let's see if I can button her. There you go. And in menswear, though, they didn't call it an illusion jacket because that doesn't sound rough and tough. They called it shark skin because obviously a dude wearing a jacket that's changing colors, they're usually browns, greens, like olive greens, and turquoise, sometimes silver too. Shark skin, it just sounds cool and like, yeah, awesome. So I don't have an example of that, but I have this. So this kind of shows you a whole bunch of different types of fabrics that you should be looking for the holiday season. I explained to you kind of what they are. That's just a general, it's just a generalization. That's my word I'm looking for. It's a generalization about this metal fabric. It's been around a long time. They've been they've been using it in fashion. They've been using it in clothes, probably, I don't know, just maybe even for hundreds of years. They definitely also rolled metal and applied it on things. I'm going to find an example and post a picture of it. It's called a suite, and they did it a lot in the turn of the century in 1920s. They made lots of shawls, and it's like this heavy metal, and each little piece of metal is crimped onto a fabric, and so there will be hundreds of pieces of metal on this one garment. It's very heavy and luxurious, and that is, I believe the French name of it is called a suite. And I'm going to post a picture of it just so you guys can see. When you're out in your travels, what am I looking at? What is this vintage stuff? Solve the vintage mystery with me. If you want to learn about vintage clothing, identification, and all the stuff that's associated with it, go ahead and like and subscribe my channel. I really appreciate you guys listening to what I have to say about this stuff. I'm so crazy about vintage. I'm definitely #crazy vintage lady. All right, that's it, y'all. I'll talk to you later.